All right, welcome to Lesson 2, Solving Multi-Step Equations. Go ahead and make sure you have a piece of paper and a writing utensil and number your page 1 through 5 with enough space in between each number to make sure you have plenty of room to do your work. Okay, um, we are going to start with the objective. Scholars will be knowledgeable as they solve multi-step equations using inverse operations while completing the independent practice. So, the difference between the last lesson and this lesson is that there are multiple steps. So they're going to be a little bit more difficult, but I'm confident that if you pay attention and do your notes, that you will have all the skills you need to be successful with the independent practice and the exit ticket. All right, the important vocabulary. Inverse operation, right? We've been talking about that a lot lately. Inverse operation just means the opposite. Okay, there's an expression that's like 2x plus 5. It's with no equal sign. Distribution is, we will see this, it's like when you have a number outside of a parentheses and you multiply the number on the outside to everything on the inside, right? And then we know we've been working with equations and solving. All right, let's hop right into number 1 and number 2. So this is a distribution refresher. This is just to make sure you have the base skills needed for the next couple problems. So when you have a number or a variable and then a parentheses, we know that means to multiply. And it means to multiply everything on the inside of the parentheses. So you're really multiplying 3 times x and 3 times 2. Okay, so 3 times x is just that. It's 3x plus 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, pretty straightforward. On this one, the only difference here is that we have a subtraction sign. So instead of an addition sign, we should have a subtraction sign. So we have 4 times x is 4x. And we have 4 times 9, but we are subtracting that. Minus 4 times 9 is 36. There we go. And we know these are expressions. There's no equal sign here. So this is as far as we can go. We can't put 3x plus 6 together. They don't have the same variable. Same thing over here. All right, let's move on. So now we can see that we have an equation, just like we did in the last lesson, but we also see that we have the distribution problem first. Okay, so what we're going to do when we solve this is the first thing we're going to do is to distribute. So 2 times x is 2x plus 2 times 9 is 18 equals, and we have 47. Okay, now this equation that I just wrote in blue is just like the equations you did in the last lesson, right? This is a two-step equation. I want to know what is just the 2x equal to. So I want to try to get rid of this positive or plus 18, and I want to do that by doing the opposite, right? The inverse, which is subtracting. Right? Just like last time, right? If I take away 18, my hanger is not flat, it's not equal, so I need to do the same thing to the other side to make sure that it's equal. Okay, a positive 18 and a negative 18, that makes 0. That's the whole point, because now I just have 2 times x left over. I'm going to bring that down here. And we can do 47 minus 18. Can't do 7 minus 8, so I'm going to borrow from the tens place. 17 minus 8 is 9. And 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, So this part of the equation says 2 times what equals 29? Well, I don't know, but I can figure that out by using the inverse operation, which is division. So instead of multiplying by 2, I divide by 2. And to make sure my hanger is flat, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. 2 divided by 2 leaves us with just 1x. And 29 divided by 2 would certainly bring up a calculator. 29 divided by 2, 14.5. Okay, I have an answer. I want to make sure that I have the right answer. So I'm going to take this number, I'm going to put it right where the x was in the old original equation, 14.5. Okay, and I'm going to do this work here, and I'm going to make sure that it equals 47 to make sure my hanger is level. So the nice part is we don't have to do distribution here because I can add these two together, 14.5 plus 9. So 14.5 plus 9 equals 23.5. All right, equals 47. So notice that I added the two numbers inside the parentheses, but I still have the 2 out here that is being multiplied. So I need to do 2 times 23.5, and my hope is that it equals 47 to prove that I have the right number that makes this hanger level. So 2 times 23.5. 23.5 times 2, 47. All right. 47 pounds, the same as 47 pounds. My hanger is flat. We are good to go. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so we have a similar type problem. The only difference here that I'm seeing is that we have a subtraction problem. So we're going to have to pay attention to that when we get closer. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute. 4 times y is 4y. Minus 4 times 5 is 20. And all of that equals 42. Okay, I want to know just what is my 4y worth. So I want to get rid of this minus or negative 20. I'm going to do that by doing the opposite. I'm going to add 20. Right? Same thing. Always, always, always. If I add 20 on this side, my hanger is not flat, so I have to do the same thing to the other side to flatten it out. Okay. Negative 20 and a positive 20, well, those cancel each other out, and I get 0, which is exactly what I wanted to happen because now I know that all I have left is 4y. And that will tell me what 4y is equal to when I add these two. 42 and 20 makes, well, 2 and 0 is 2, 4 and 2 is 6. Okay, this says 4 times what equals 62. It's okay if you don't know because you have the strategy to figure it out by doing the opposite. The opposite of multiplying, of course, is dividing. So instead of multiplying by 4, I'm going to divide by 4. And I'm going to do that on both sides to make sure my hanger is level. 4 divided by 4 is just 1, so I really just have one y left. 62 divided by 4, well, we can do that in our calculator. 62 divided by 4 is 15.5. 15.5. Okay, so I have my answer. I want to check to make sure it's right. So up here, I'm going to put that 15.5 where the y was. And I'm going to check my work. So 15.5 minus 5, that is 10.5. And you notice that I've kept the 4 there. So 4 times 10.5. Let's do that here. 4 times 10.5 is in fact 42. So I have 42 here equals 42. That means my hanger is level when I have my answer, which means I am correct, and we're good to go. Okay, let's try the very last one here. All right, just making sure we have enough time left. Okay, so same idea. Something I'm noticing right away, though, is I have a negative number over here. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit more challenging, but I'm positive we can do it. All right, so let's first distribute 5 times c, 5 times 9. So 5 times c is just 5c plus 5 times 9 is 45 equals negative 5. All right. So right now my hanger is level, which is good, right? I want to know what is just the 5c worth. How much does the 5c weigh? So I need to get rid of this plus 45 to figure out what is just the 5c weigh. And I'm going to do that by doing the opposite, by subtracting, right? That's the opposite of adding, right? If I subtract 45 over here, all of a sudden my hanger is all crooked. So if I do the same thing to the other side, that allows my hanger to flatten out. All right. So over here I have a positive 45 and a negative 45. Those cancel each other out. There's nothing left, which means all that I have left is 5c, which is perfect because that allows me to figure out how much is just 5c equal to. All right, here is a little bit of a tricky part. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. I know that I have a negative 5 and 45 more negatives. So one way to think about this is, well, if I had 5 negatives and I had 45 negatives, how many negatives do I have altogether? Okay, there's that one way of thinking about it. The other way is to say, okay, here's 0, here's negative 5. I want to go down 45. Okay, so I'm going to count by 5s here and figure out how far down I end up. Keep going here. One more, we'll say. Okay, so I'm starting here, and I want to go down 45. So let's pretend these are increments of 5. So I'm going to go down 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Okay, so I went down 45. If this is an increment of 5, right, it goes 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, but I know this is below 0, so it's going to be negative 50. A couple different ways to think about that, okay? All right, so we have 5 times what equals negative 50? Not sure, so I'm going to use the opposite, which is division. The opposite of multiplying by 5 is dividing by 5. Got to do it to both sides. 5 divided by 5 leaves me with just 1c. Negative 50 divided by 5. So I know 50 divided by 5 is 10. So negative 50 divided by 5 is going to be negative 10.